girl. Hello. I am super pumped right now because I am planning, some of you know that I'm doing a masterclass on Saturday, this Saturday, and I'm updating it a little bit because I did a masterclass a couple weeks ago, last month, and I got some awesome feedback and some good questions during it, so I'm updating the class now, although I'm still going to be covering what I want to talk with you about today, which is the 4 steps to gain confidence in your pageant interview. So what's so interesting is that these 4 steps, I really strongly believe that these have to happen in the right order. So I'm going to share them with you in this order as well so that you have like an understanding of how this grows. But the 4 steps have to be done in order. So if you're joining me live, thank you, Dima, for being here. I see you in the notes there, so I appreciate you joining. So if you are joining me live and you've got some questions as we go, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them. But I'm thinking that this video will probably really only be about probably less than 10 minutes. But again, if you've got questions, please post them in the comments because I'm happy to answer your questions. So, okay, so the 4 steps, let's dive into it. Before I do, I'll introduce myself. My name's Alycia Darby. I'm a pageant coach. I've been working in the industry for over 10 years. First as a contestant, I competed in 4 systems all across the US. And now I'm a pageant coach, pageant judge, and I host a weekly podcast where I do all types of trainings. So in this video, we're covering the 4 steps. I'm going to teach them in order that they need to happen. Okay, so without further ado, I want to first start by saying that confidence is the absolute key to overcoming the trauma of a bad interview, because we've all been there before of experiencing a bad pageant interview and you walk out like traumatized, like, oh, how did I not answer that the right way, or what are they thinking of me? And it's like the worst feeling. I've been there. I say it's traumatizing because I remember every moment. And as soon as I learned these 4 steps, not even just learned them, but implemented them, like it was a whole process of creating them and developing them, but then I wasn't even doing them for a while. So once I actually started doing them and putting them into place, I realized that my confidence was like through the roof. And that's what really allowed me the patience with myself and also the engagement with my judges. I was able to actually engage with them because I presented so much more confidently. Okay, so without further ado, step number 1. It's truly a solid foundation. Just like anything in life, you've got to start with a really solid foundation. You have to know what you're standing on. And in the masterclass, I'll go like really more in depth about how do you create a solid foundation, like what's that really look like in terms of pageantry. But you've got to know that you have to start really firm. You don't just want to show up. This is why women who just kind of, I decided this weekend I'm going to compete. They show up and it's rocky the whole time because they haven't truly sat on this foundation and really created a platform for themselves to feel confident on. Okay, so that's step number 1. Now, once you've got your foundation, step number 2 is you've got to plan your answers. The story I love, I just had an acquaintance join me and a friend of mine a week or so ago now. And he is an interviewer. Oh, thanks for all the love there. He is a professional interviewer. And Courtney, I'm guessing all those hearts came from you. Thank you. That's adorable. I love you. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I met with this friend of mine. Actually, I was meeting with my friend. An acquaintance joined us. Anyway, he's an incredible interviewer. He has interviewed some of the greatest talent across the globe, literally. And hi, Jess. Oh, good to see you. I love it. I'm talking to this guy, and he was saying how his interview was the hardest interview he's ever done. And he kept, Dima, love it. And he kept saying that the reason that it was so hard to interview this guy was because the guy had an agenda of his own. And he was like, as an interviewer, I have all these questions. I want to go down a certain path. But then this guy he was interviewing, who, by the way, is an incredible author, Michael Gerber, if you've heard of him before. He wrote E-Myth Revisited. He's been an author of a zillion different things for business owners. And the guy was pushing back. The guy was leading the interview in a direction that the interviewer, this epic guy who's an amazing interviewer, he was so caught off guard because normally he asks questions and then he can take the interview wherever he wants it to go. But in this particular case, the guy who he was interviewing was leading the interview. And I said to the guy, I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I teach my clients to do. Like, that's exactly, I teach my girls to plan their answers. So when they show up to the interview, they're in control, because I hate when I've showed up to media interviews and I'm not in control, it's exhausting. It's like, you've seen this before. A lot of times that, you know, controversial issues come up. So if a celebrity is like sitting in a chair for a media interview and she's being interviewed, the interviewer might ask like a probing question. And it's like, oh, tell us your deep, dark secrets. And the interviewee has to be like ready to roll with an answer. Okay, so anyway, I was so excited to hear this because I was like, what? My girls know how to do that. Like, it was awesome to hear that this is what the pros are doing, even in other industries, not even in just pageantry. So anyway, I was like, oh yeah, hey, my girls know how to do that. Okay, so that's my fun little story. You got to plan your answers. Okay, that's step number 2. In the masterclass, I'm going to dive deeper into how we do that. Okay, number 3, prepare your paperwork. So you've got a foundation, you know your answers, you got to prepare your paperwork. That's going to lead back to your answers. Okay, so once you know what you want to say, we plan the paperwork. I fully believe, as a judge, I am actually able to pull my top 10 from paperwork alone. Now, of course, I'm not going to just judge their paperwork, but I'm like, well, this girl knows what she's up to. Like, she's got it figured out. Pretty much I can tell, like, okay, these are going to be the girls that are going to end up in the top 10 based on their paperwork alone. So you got to prepare that. Step number 4 is to practice. Practice, practice, practice. Now, practice, so many women are like, okay, I'm going to practice. And then they do all this wacky stuff, like they're just reading things to themselves, or they're finding waste of time practice plans, okay? I do not want you to waste your time. If you are practicing for your interview, I want it to be worth your while. So in the masterclass, there's 3 actual ways that you can practice, and I'm gonna give you the scale of which ones are going to be wastes of time and where you're gonna get the most bang for your buck. So those are the 4 steps. Now, if you're on this live video, you're gonna already have an insight, because in the workbook that I'm gonna give you, this is actually, we're going to fill all of this information out during the live masterclass, but if you already know the steps, you're going to have a head start to the others that are in the class. So it's going to be so much fun. I really hope that you can join me live on Saturday. It's this Saturday, October 29th. I had to look at the calendar to make sure. I know Halloween is coming up, very exciting. The masterclass is happening in the morning at 9 a.m. my time in San Diego. So wherever you are in the nation, it will be mid-morning to early afternoon. And I cannot wait to connect with you there. Of course, it's going to be about an hour, so I'll have plenty more time to really dig deep and answer any questions that you have. But of course, you can always ask me questions. So if you can leave even a comment on this video, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about pageant interview. But we're truly doing the deep dive on Saturday. So I can't wait to see you girls. For those of you who are joining me live, Dima, Courtney, Jess, and whomever else is on the call here today, thank you so much for being here. I love seeing you guys because it just like lights me up. I'm like, yes, okay, I know what they're after. I know what they're really needing. And so I can like dive into that. So yay! Oh, I can make it. You're Eastern. Okay, good, Dima. That's going to be freaking awesome. So it's 9 a.m. my time. That means it'll be at noon Eastern time. Okay, so I cannot wait to see you guys there. Thank you so much. Bye for now.